Welcome back to the Watch It, Cook It kitchen. Fall is upon us, cooler temperatures, the rain's coming. Time for a steaming pot of Irish stew. Few ingredients, simple flavorings, beautiful food. Let's take a look at what we're going to use. We're going to use leek, onion, potato, carrot, turnip, a little flour, bunch of thyme, couple of cloves of garlic, and of course, lamb. Chop it into cubes, rough cubes, and then we're going to brown it in the pot. You turn this lamb over. It's a beautiful piece from the leg. It's deboned, of course, and it's part of the leg, not the whole thing. It's just perfect for this dish. We're not too worried about the fat here. This is going to render down in the pot when we're browning the lamb. So let's just cut this into some rustic chunks of lamb. Got a piece about there. I think we can cut them in, what would they be? Just about an inch or just over an inch each. Is about perfect for this dish. Nicely cut up chunks into a bowl. And now the leeks. How do you clean a leek? Leek is known to absorb some grit and soil as it grows. Kind of gets wrapped around in there. So you have to be careful. You don't want to serve up gritty food unless you like gritty food. So the simplest way to clean a leek is to cut off the end. You're not going to need these green leaves up here. So we're going to cut just about where they begin. Then we're simply going to slice down the middle. When we slice down the middle, you'll see all of these layers open up. And if you're really lucky, you won't find much dirt, but usually you will. Look at that there. You don't want that going in your pot. So we're going to clean these thoroughly. Again, green leaves off, end of the leek off. The outer layer is definitely wanting to go away. That is the one that picks up a lot of dirt. Just make sure that we open these up and we'll get them cleaned. There we go. We'll open them up, make sure all of the grit is out. And it is beautifully done. And you just need to chop them across, just again into chunks here because we're being rustic with this. It's a farm kind of dish. We don't want to be fancy with juliennes. Perfect. Onion goes next. What a beautiful onion. I'm going to cut this one in half. See how much this yields. I'm not sure we need the whole onion here. I'm going to slice this kind of small so that it can melt down into the stew and give it all that great oniony flavor. That looks good, but I think we're going to need the whole thing. Next, carrots. Just going to take the skin off the carrot, kind of peel it a little bit, chop it up. Chop the end off that, and the other end too. We don't need those. And let's give them a good rustic cut. This is going to cook on the stove for at least an hour, maybe an hour and a half or even more. So these carrots will have plenty of time to get very soft. No worries there. And then the turnip, nothing to worry about with turnips. They're nothing special. They're just another root vegetable. If you haven't cooked with them before, very similar in cooking to a potato. Cook a little bit faster. They absorb a little more liquid, so they kind of break down a little bit, but it gives your stew some body and some additional sweetness. These are reasonably sweet, just like most root vegetables. So all we do is peel them just like you do with a potato or a carrot or anything else. This is not the best way to peel. Don't do it this way. You're more likely to scuff or cut your fingers. It's all already such a sweet, interesting aroma that comes off these turnips. I really do love them. You can actually make mashed potato and add turnip to sweeten it and to give it a little extra oomph, a little extra body, and makes for an interesting dish. So we're simply going to slice the end off where the roots are. We don't want that. And then we're just going to cut in here around this purple top, which is a little tough. We don't want that either. And now we have some easy to work with sizes. We'll just chop them down into rustic shapes, just like everything else. You'll leave these reasonably large. They will cook quite rapidly compared to the potatoes. And I think I'll make a couple smaller so that they can break down and thicken our stew as well. We're getting there. It's an Irish dish. Has to have potato. These are gold potatoes. If you use a more floury, like a baking potato, a russet potato, they can break down in the cooking process and get a bit mushy. But these will hold their shape pretty well and cook nicely. I've just washed these off because I'm actually going to leave the skins on. The skin has a lot of nutrients, and in a dish like this, we're not trying to be fancy. The skin is fine. I'm just going to lightly crush the garlic cloves and pull off the skin. I'm not going to chop them here. There's a difference with garlic. If you chop it more finely, it tends to get stronger, releases more of that garlicky, acidy flavor. And in this dish, I want a more sweet background garlic. I don't want it overpowering the dish. So I'm going to leave these cloves pretty large, but a little bit crushed, just so that they are releasing some of their natural oils. And I think we're good to go. We'll go over to the pot. When we get there, we're gonna show you how to do this. Doesn't take long now, we're almost done. A couple of glasses of Guinness, a couple of glasses of wine, a gin and tonic, maybe a vodka, and it'll be ready. We're at the famous pot. We're gonna take a little olive oil to get this started. And then we're gonna turn our gas or electric onto medium. Plenty of salt all over, and nice freshly ground black pepper all over. We can adjust the salt at the end of this, we will of course taste it. Olive oil is just starting to ripple a little bit. It's time to drop our lamb in. You can hear it starting to sizzle gently. It's just what we want. Now, no crowding with meat when you're trying to brown it. If you crowd it, it will steam and it won't brown properly. And I would guess we're about ready for a turn now. Oh yes, very nice. That's a beautiful crust on there. Flavor, flavor, flavor. That one's not brown so much. No worries. Everything else is doing yuck. These are ready to pull out. Drop the next batch in. Those are nicely browned now, so I'm just going to pull them out and then be putting them back in. Now notice this beautiful fond in here, the brown pieces, the brown bits left over from the meat. That's beautiful flavor. We're going to drop all of the vegetables in right now. Give them a good stir around. We want them to lift this fond from the bottom of the pot. It's difficult to see, but I think you can see that that brown is already lifting as these vegetables release their liquid content. And this is what builds a beautiful, rich stew that we're going to enjoy. We're going to add just a little salt to the vegetables. I'm going to sprinkle on just a little flour, which will help thicken the stew. We're just going to add our meat with all the juices, that beautifully browned lamb. Now we're looking like Irish stew. And the incredible forgotten ingredient, beef stock. If you have lamb stock, please use lamb stock. I do not, can't find it. I didn't have lamb bones to make it, so I'm using beef stock, which is a fine alternative. You could actually use chicken stock. It will be fine. It won't destroy the lamb flavor. It's your choice. Add our potatoes. We're now going to let this come to a boil before lowering the heat and covering it and letting it simmer for about an hour before we check it, and we'll test the meat for doneness and the potatoes for doneness at that point, and we can keep going. Basically, you keep it simmering until everything is soft. You must not forget the time. All right, we've got a good rolling boil started here. I'm going to back the heat down to low, medium, cover this, and we'll be back in an hour. It's been about an hour and 25 minutes, and this is ready. I did take a peek over at the stove, but it is absolutely beautiful, and all that remains, as always, is to plate and taste. We're just gonna dig in with this big old spoon here, and this, lady and gentlemen, is Irish stew, fit for an Irish king and queen. And oh my goodness, I am excited to taste this. Let's plonk it down and get rid of the big pot, which is going to last me at least an hour. Here it is, just a little greenery. I have some chopped spring or green onions just to give it that nice finished look. Looks tremendous. I know it's going to taste good. I can smell it. The thing that happens with these root vegetables is they really release the sweetness into the dish and complement the lamb so much. And there's just an undertone of garlic which just sets this off. There you have the carrots, the potatoes, and everything just screaming to be eaten. I'm just using a spoon. You can see that the lamb cuts through so easily. It's so tender. I'm going to pick up the sauce, the gravy. You have to have it. Let's see. Has to be one of my favorites. Easy, quick. Not that expensive to do. Just the lamb and some vegetables, a little bit of stock. Go for it. What do you got to lose? You are always welcome right here in the kitchen. Please subscribe, hit that bell, leave a comment. Let me know what you think, and we'll see you here next time.